An excerpt from A Warm Day by Louise Glick. Little by little, days like this will seem normal. But winter was hard. The nights coming early, the dawns dark with a gray, persistent rain. Months of that. And then the snow, like silence coming from the sky, obliterating the trees and gardens. Today, all that's past us. The birds are back chattering over seeds. All the snow's melted. The fruit trees are covered with downy new growth. A few couples even walk in the meadow, promising whatever they promise. We stand in the sun, and the sun heals us. It doesn't rush away. It hangs above us, unmoving, like an actor pleased with his welcome. Mr. President, Mr. Provost, Madam Secretary, college heads, deans, colleagues, friends, families, and most of all, women and men of the class of 2016, welcome to this day. I know that I speak for those of us on stage when I say that we are proud of what you, the graduating seniors, have accomplished in your 4 years. Baccalaureate is one of the major markers of your Yale journey, and it serves as the closing bookend to that late summer of 2012, when you gathered in the same space for your freshman assembly. Baccalaureate invites you to pause during what is an exhausting weekend. So please, take a deep breath, slowly exhale, and invest yourself in this moment. I now call on the university chaplain.
My sisters and my brothers, I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. Almighty and loving God, you are the one who gives us this day and all our days. In the majesty of this life moment, we, your beloved children of different colors, creeds, generations, stories, and tongues, are gathered in this place as one human family, united in jubilant celebration. We are filled with gratitude for our families, friends, teachers, and guides. Their arms have sheltered us, their shoulders have boosted us, and today their hearts soar for us. Eternal God, it is you who calls us to our full humanity. As we celebrate our accomplishments, we are humbled and overwhelmed by what lies ahead. Let us continue to caress the beauty of your creation, and may our souls know true delight as we awaken to the wonder and mystery of our own unfolding lives. Through the unity of mind and spirit, hold us ever close as we seek to leaven your world wisely in the steadfast pursuit of your light and your truth. For this we say, Amen.
That which pervades earth, sky, and heaven, which is worthy of worship, that has no beginning, that which is the light of wisdom and truth. Let us meditate on the radiance of that divinity. May that brilliance help inspire and illuminate our minds. That one which represents water, light, and is the quintessence in all things. May that almighty spirit pervading the earth, atmosphere, and heaven bless us with enlightenment.
Send forth your light and your truth, they will lead me. They will bring me to your holy mountain, to your dwelling place, that I may come to the altar of God. God, my delight, my joy, that I may praise you with the harp, O God, my God.
You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your God in heaven.
God is the light of the heavens and earth. The likeness of his light is that of a niche, in which there is a lamp. The lamp is in a glass. The glass is, as it were, a brilliant star lit from a blessed tree, an olive tree, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil seems to glow even though no fire has touched it. Light upon light. God guides whom he wills to his light. God makes parables for humanity, and God has knowledge of everything.
On this occasion, it is customary for the present to deliver a baccalaureate address and for the Dean of Yale College to offer a few readings. I begin with a selection from Mary Oliver's The Summer Day. Here the speaker is meandering in a meadow when she is overcome by a moment not all that different from the one we are in right now. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? You may have asked some of these same questions yourself this year. You may have asked, my time at Yale is coming to a close. Have I done enough? Or maybe, my time at Yale is coming to a close. What do I do next? These are big questions, perhaps too big to answer today. So let's reframe them for this moment and narrow their scope. What are you going to do today? What is your plan for this wild and precious day? On this day of endings and beginnings, let me suggest an answer to these questions by daring to think about the redemptive power of love. On June 25, 1967, a satellite orbiting the Earth helped usher in the dawn of a new era. That evening, 400 million people in 25 countries watched a global live telecast. The BBC asked the Beatles to write a song as part of the United Kingdom's contribution to the show. The result was a song by John Lennon about the tension between human ego and frailty, and the one thing that could mediate it. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. No. I started that way too high. All you need is love. A few years later, on this side of the Atlantic, New Haven was on the verge of being torn apart by riots as political radicals from across the country came to the city to protest the imprisonment of Black Panther Bobby Seale. John Hersey, the novelist and outgoing master of Pearson College, captured this moment in his book, A Letter to Alumni. In this letter, he recounted the tension on this campus and throughout the nation. Looking back at Hersey's observations reminds us of two things. One, the past and present are often more alike than we want to admit. And two, daring to love is difficult, and it demands a constant commitment. What's the use of a degree to a man who has a bag of gravel for a heart? What's the use of a life to a man whose inner temperature is 0? Why, students ask, can't universities offer more courses that open windows to feeling, more film, more music, more writing, more art, more photography, more doing, more helping? A more pressing question for our universities, which they had better start at least thinking about. Why is this country so open to one set of emotions and their expression? Rage, hatred, scorn, put-downs, vituperation, vicious criticism, character killing, and so suspicious of, so hostile to another. Love, kindness, generosity, forgiveness, trust, praise, encouragement. Somewhere on campus, a radio was playing. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. A handful of years before the Beatles' song debuted, and a full 6 years before Hersey lamented the anger and blindness that were leading our country away from love and caring and forgiveness and trust, critic James Baldwin collaborated with photographer Richard Avedon on an essay titled Nothing Personal. Baldwin, who had just published The Fire Next Time, was at the height of his rhetorical powers and used his talents to articulate a fierce love for humanity and the hope that we would fight our way toward redemption. It is necessary, while in darkness, to know that there is a light somewhere, to know that in oneself, waiting to be found, there is a light. What the light reveals is danger, and what it demands is faith. Pretend, for example, that you were born in Chicago and have never had the remotest desire to visit Hong Kong, which is only a name on a map for you. Pretend that some convulsion, sometimes called accident, throws you into connection with a man or a woman who lives in Hong Kong and that you fall in love. Hong Kong will immediately cease to be a name and will become the center of your life. And you may never know how many people live in Hong Kong, but you will know that one man or one woman lives there without whom you cannot live. And this is how our lives are changed, and this is how we are redeemed. I have slept on rooftops and in basements and subways, have been cold and hungry all my life, have felt that no fire would ever warm me and no arms would ever hold me. I have been, as the song says, buked and scorned, and I know that I always will be. But my God, in that darkness, which was the lot of my ancestors and my own state, what a mighty fire burned. In that darkness, a living soul moved and refused to die. We really emptied oceans with a homemade spoon and tore down mountains with our hands. And if love was in Hong Kong, we learned how to swim. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Moving much closer to our present and urgent day, I turn to the wisdom of Bryan Stevenson, attorney and human rights activist. Stevenson's book, Just Mercy, is a recollection of his efforts to fight against mass incarceration. For me, the book is also a meditation on the human need to offer love, especially in those moments when doing so feels impossible. We are all implicated when we allow other people to be mistreated. An absence of compassion can corrupt the decency of a community, a state, a nation. Fear and anger can make us vindictive and abusive, unjust and unfair, until we all suffer from the absence of mercy, and we condemn ourselves as much as we victimize others. I believe it's necessary to recognize that we all need mercy. We all need justice. And perhaps we all need some measure of unmerited grace. Women and men of the class of 2016, on this wild and precious day, leave this place knowing that you are equipped to ask challenging questions, that you are prepared to listen to difficult answers, and that you have everything you need to do the hard work to navigate the unpredictable terrain between the two. As you do this work, you will spread your light and your truth to a world that is in desperate need of both. We, the librarians, the professors, the custodians, the dining hall staff, the coaches, the lecturers, the groundskeepers, the counselors, and the administrators, we have done all that we can for you. The rest, my friends, is up to you. One last thought. As the horizon overtakes the tops of these ivory towers, just remember, love is all you need. 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 Thank you, and congratulations.
Colleagues, friends, families, graduating seniors, I'm not going to sing. But it is a pleasure for me to greet you today and offer a few words on everyone's favorite weekend of the year. So I've noted over the last few years a delightful Yale tradition, and I'm hoping you can help me carry it out today. Part one. Let me ask all the families and friends here today to rise and recognize the outstanding and graduating members of the class of 2016. And now, part two. Might I ask the class of 2016 to consider all those who have supported your arrival at this milestone, and please rise and recognize them. Thank you. So, graduating seniors, like the other seniors in Yale College before you, most of you have experienced this year certain freedoms relative to the prior 3 years. Freedom from distribution requirements, freedom to explore a particular topic in your major, freedom from the demands of leadership positions in student organizations, perhaps the freedom to enjoy more fully the breadth and depth of the friendships you have made at Yale. After Monday, of course, you'll experience as well the freedom that comes with moving on, which is really the freedom to decide how you're going to put your Yale education to work in the world. I hope you are exhilarated about the choices ahead, though I expect that most of you face them with some anxiety as well. In any case, as the fates would have it, you must now leave behind the Yale College community and choose other communities to join, just as you once chose this one. When you arrived here, you entered a community founded well over 3 centuries ago. It does not take much of a historian to understand that over such a long period of time, vast changes have taken place both at Yale and in the society in which Yale is embedded. Very few of the important changes in Yale's history were easy to navigate or even to perceive clearly while they were taking place. However inevitable or obvious they may seem to us now. We generally converge far more in our perspectives on issues of the past, especially the distant past, than we do in our perspectives on those of the present. This will be true of any community you decide to join in the future, particularly any as closely knitted and highly engaged as Yale's. As you consider your move from Yale, I want to focus today on 3 responsibilities that I believe members of a community must share if they wish to strengthen their interconnections and provide for the common good. First, we must be prepared to speak fully our own minds. Second, we must be willing to listen carefully to what others say of their own minds. And third, we must search for common ground that provides us a basis for moving forward. No one of these obligations, it seems to me, can successfully be fulfilled without attending to the other two. As I consider each in turn, I want to shift our focus, though, at least for the moment, away from talk about rights. Having the right to say or do things is a very different matter from deciding what it would be wise and best to say or do. So I'd like to consider something that lies beyond the bare assertion of a right, and that something is the hard work it takes to be a vital and active member of a community. The first shared obligation of community citizenship sounds straightforward, that we have the shared responsibility, especially on matters of importance to the entire community, to speak fully our own minds. But what does it mean to speak fully? Does it mean to speak at greatest length or in the loudest voice? Or does it mean something more like speaking with the care and the intent to move a community toward a better and deeper understanding of a matter at hand? I propose to you that the strongest and most effective advocates of a position resist the temptation to demonize or mock their opponents, to inflame their friends, or to simplify complex matters. Without surrendering their convictions, they look instead to expand our sensibilities and awareness, to consider and respect opposing concerns, and to present us with new options for how we might move forward together. Our faith in the progress of the Yale community, or any community we join, absolutely depends on our mutual commitment to just these practices, however much we might differ in our perspectives or experiences. Over my years at Yale, I've invariably encountered many individuals who represented quite different views, but who approached me with considered, thorough, and broadly informed reasons to support a strongly held position. And what about not just speaking fully, but also speaking one's own mind? The courage to speak your own mind cannot be limited to joining a group of like-minded people or supporting a particular party position or liking an online comment. In the heat of battle, our natural impulse is to circle the wagons, close ranks, and show party loyalty. But it can sometimes take significantly more courage to express a disagreement or a concern among those we take to be our friends than to disagree with those we take to be our opponents. So as you go out in the world, joining and creating communities, it can also be immensely difficult to hear in full a differing view, which brings me to the second shared obligation of members of a community, the responsibility to listen fully to what others are saying, especially when we find their views disturbing or irrelevant to our own concerns. We know very much from research in social psychology, which is my field, and you know from your own lives, that people are powerfully subject to confirmation bias. We gravitate strongly toward like-minded people, and we attend to sources of information that resonate with our existing beliefs. Social media only serve to reinforce these psychological tendencies. People have increasingly narrowed their listening to channels expressing and reinforcing opinions they already hold. Beyond even that, it takes unusual willpower and commitment to listen fully, not only for what someone is saying, but for why he or she is saying it, to understand the personal experience that motivates interest, as well as the intellectual experience that informs argument. So let me personalize the dynamic I've been describing just a bit. I have a close friend. Let's call him Alan. Alan's view of the world differs from my own view as much as any friend that I have. Alan is opposed to considering race, ethnicity, or economic class in any way when admitting students to Yale. Alan does not think the law should establish a minimum wage. Alan believes in a free society, you should have the right to sell your kidney, or for that matter, the right to sell your vote. These opinions I find strange, even in some cases, simply wrong. And yet, we're friends. We talk a lot, we listen carefully. Neither of us dismisses the other's suggestions or passes judgment on motivations. Generally, we don't succeed in changing each other's beliefs, though sometimes we do. But we both leave our discussions, and yes, even our most difficult arguments, and there have been many, better informed and more able to appreciate a divergent perspective. We are also able to value and sustain our friendship while differing, sometimes sharply, in our views. I'm certain that Yale has done its usual excellent job in educating each and every one of you. But I'm equally certain that with time and change, some of the ideas that will stick with you most are ones you found hardest to grasp or accept the first time you heard them from a fellow student. Just as important as anything that you have learned in a seminar or in a lab, I hope that Yale has been a place that encouraged you to find friendships, like mine and Alan's, with individuals whose ideas may be in some critical way opposed to your own. In older academic writings, you can find reference to something called the principle of charity and interpretation. This is the principle of treating an opposing view in what you take to be its strongest and most viable form, something you can only achieve by actively seeking out and listening carefully to its ablest proponent. Doing so increases your capacity to enter into a productive dialogue, first because it will strengthen your grasp of what actually differentiates your own view, and second, because it will open you to the real possibility of changing your mind. I think of the student who once told her professor that this teacher had finally persuaded her of a point about which they had disputed. "You win," said the student. "No," said the professor, "you win. You have learned one of the most difficult things, how to change your mind." So let me close by saying something that I know just scratches the surface of the third shared obligation of citizenship in any community worthy of the name: the responsibility to seek common ground for the sake of the community as a whole. You have, just as we all have, much to learn from others in every community you join. Yet, you will predictably confront tension between what you perceive to be your own individual or group interests and what you perceive to be the common ground you share with others. You will be tempted to think that the search for common ground is simply equivalent to a demand that you concede ground, your own ground at that. Not to pursue common ground, however, is fatal to a community and to progress. I hope you share my anxiety about the degree to which we are seeing this tendency coming to the fore nationally and internationally. To find common ground does not mean surrendering principles, but it does mean seeking creative compromise. To find common ground, we must give up calls to judgments and demands for instantaneous results, while instead undertaking the hard, painstaking, sometimes plodding task of designing and implementing workable solutions in which all members of the community have a stake. Finding common ground will never be free of confrontation, but it will never stay stuck in confrontation. It will look for the best of others, not imagine the worst. I hope that as a member of the Yale community, you have learned to speak fully, listen intensely, and seek common ground in many aspects of your life. These skills will serve you well in your coming ventures, especially as you carry out our university's mission, which is to improve the world today and for future generations. So let me ask the members of the class of 2016 to rise. As you go out onto a world that is all before you, hand in hand with wandering steps and slow, bring to that world all that your Yale education has given you. The ability to appreciate complexity even while seeking simplicity. To engage critically even while listening respectfully, and to recognize your responsibilities even while finding pleasure in your new communities. We are delighted to salute your accomplishments, and we are proud of your achievements. Remember to give thanks for all that has brought you to this day, and go forth from this place with grateful hearts, paying back the gifts you have received here by using your minds, your voices, and your hands to strengthen your new communities and your world. Congratulations, class of 2016.
I've been asked to announce that the President's reception will be held in Commons immediately following this ceremony. Let us pray. May God bless you and keep you. May the Eternal show you favor and be gracious to you. May the Holy One cause light to shine upon you and grant you peace. And let us say, Amen.